Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of the Rush Hour podcast, and we have the assistant director from the upcoming movie, Another Simple Favor, continuing to share what went down in the comment sections of this Instagram post, calls Blake Lively cruel. Again, not some random commenter online. This is somebody who worked on the movie, was fired or let go, and people online are now revisiting what the heck is going on here. Is Blake just getting folks fired? People that are just doing their job? So either way, director doubles down. We're going to get into it right now. You might remember we covered this just a day or two ago, and it was very interesting because when we found out the image of the director who has been speaking out, I was like, oh, interesting. Could her looks have to do anything with her being let go? This looks like a very attractive person, and I would not be surprised in a narcissist world where you are supposed to be the hot person on set. I would not be surprised if you would want to find a reason to get rid of anyone who has the eyes heading in their direction versus yours. You know, hey, I stand by what I said. You know, the crew, maybe they're joking around. There's some flirting happening. There's a key grip or an electrician they're in the craft section on their break, flirty, and Blake's like, no, get her out of here. What's this thing happening? Or maybe this was a terrible person, but either way, it doesn't seem that way because they're not really seeking any fame out of this. They're just sharing, hey, you know, she shared the reason she quit, and now in a comment below that, she's sharing actually what went down. Now, as far as I couldn't find these comments, I don't know if they've been deleted. These posts, they've got a lot of people underneath them, but these comments have been saved here on this subreddit, It Ends With Us, and here's the response. So, Barbed Wire TV said, I worked with you on the first one. That being, I worked with this guy who's in the movie. And by the way, this is great press for the movie. I don't care what you guys say. This is good press for the movie. Henry Golding is a British actor. And this nice lady said, I worked with you on the first one. My experience with everyone was absolutely amazing, except for a certain someone who is the reason I quit being an AD. Guess who that person is? All right, so she quit being an AD. The question is, did she quit that set being an assistant director? Was she fired, or what's the deal? So I want to make sure that we don't confuse the two because it is a little complicated. This is the latest movie Blake did where the assistant director calls her cruel. So she responds to somebody in the comment section saying, thanks for the kindness. I want to avoid attention around this, but I will say she was cruel to many. I know I cried my way home many nights because you try so hard to please someone who is never pleased and puts you down constantly. I can't believe it's actually getting back at her. Karma is real. All right, my apologies. It doesn't look like she was fired. She just says Blake was really cruel, doesn't mention her by name. But either way, the firing that took place was on It Ends With Us. So this subreddit, again, It Ends With Lawsuits, has been covering, there's a few different subreddits, It Ends With Lawsuits. There's one called Blake Lively Victims, Justin Baldoni. They say that based on the timeline of events, it seems pretty important information that the assistant directors on It Ends With Us were fired at Blake Lively's request. So we have the screen grabs of that, but as you see right here, Lively shared her grievances about the first AD, suggesting that she be replaced. She and the second AD, who is also a woman, were shortly thereafter let go. So it could be that the second AD comes with the first, they work hand in hand. It could be that they got rid of the whole team. Either way, on It Ends With Us, Lively was responsible for several women getting fired. As opposed to, and again, I just want to, reiterate here, the fourth AD from Another Simple Favor wasn't fired. She just cried on the way home every day. So tough. I mean, look, hey, no one wants to work in those kind of environments. Films can be stressful, but they can also be super collaborative and fun. And, I feel bad for her. And I feel bad that she would quit possibly her dreams over this. I hope that she gives it another shot and realizes not everyone acts that way. Soon, Justin and JH, is that Heath, feel forced by Sony because of Lively's request to dismiss the first AD, even though they believe it's unfair and the first AD is being scapegoated by Blake. This firing creates further challenges on set. So This subreddit is doing such a good job. I mean, I couldn't hire enough people to do what they're doing. It's so valuable to have the bandwidth of the internet kind of looking at all of this. In the end, this is going to help the truth come out. June 3rd, 2023, after facing pressure from Sony and one of the film's producers who believed Lively was no longer responding favorably to the first AD, Baldoni and Heath made the difficult decision to dismiss the first AD, despite feeling she was being unfairly scapegoated. In their text exchanges, both expressed discomfort with the decision. This move created turmoil on set as the first AD played a pivotal role in production, making her replacement a significant challenge. Nonetheless, they ultimately conceded to Lively and Sony's request to replace her. I wonder if there's any legal recourse here by the first AD having lost out on wages because of Blake. You know, I say throw her into the lawsuit. We already got a dozen people. Throw her in. So where are you at? Best Buy. Justin says, just checking on you. I really don't want blank to get fired. Jamie said, I know, me either, and yet we're there, man. Let's talk later. So they tried everything under the sun to keep Blake happy, including firing other people, and it just wasn't working out. June 3rd, and by the way, like, Blake has a right to voice her opinion. She has a right to voice her opinion if she's not getting along with somebody. The question is, were her demands unreasonable? And I think with a lot of the other evidence coming out, people aren't going to give her the benefit of the doubt, to say that kindly, right? So Heath informed the first AD that she would be replaced. Meanwhile, Blake Lively, the firing of the first AD is still on their minds and causes them grief and guilt as they believe it was the wrong move they were forced to take. So here's the text messages of them, going back and forth saying, gosh, I just wish we didn't have to do this. Now, admittingly, there's so many layers to this case and a lot at play that the firings and replacement of staff in It Ends With Us that Blake Lively seemed heavily involved in, and maybe this is a question best for lawyers and legal assistants, but I do wonder if the fired assistant directors would be able to have a case for wrongful termination against Blake and Sony if Justin Baldoni's case goes through successfully with proving extortion. My first thought is probably not, because in the end, Justin's the one who decided to let the first and second AD go. Even though they're doing it to please Blake, it's like they could have said no to Blake. Now, obviously, we would have seen how that would have gone, but it's a tough one. Someone said, one of my favorite actresses in my country said that if you are an actor, you have no excuse to become a diva around the set because it is actually the crew who makes your life on set a much more chill experience. I can agree with that. The crew is the ecosystem. I mean, they are there at your lunch break, they are there before you get there, and they're there after you. And I've been on many sets where when the lead actor goes away, the crew talks a lot of trash about them because they're not good people. I've also been on sets, like I used to stand in on White Collar, and I could not stop speaking praises of Matt Bomer as one of the nicest actors out there. I have so many examples of how kind he was when nobody was watching, and it just goes to show the crew will be your best friends. They will champion you and support you if you're a good, decent person. And if you're the opposite, they'll talk. Now, when it comes to this movie, the crew's been very silent. I see the silence of the crew. By the way, doesn't that sound like a nice remake? The Silence of the Crew. It's a cannibal film. Every crew just eats people. The Silence of the Crew. I see that in support of Justin Baldoni. I do. I see that in support of Justin Baldoni. Whereas the cast initially spoke up on behalf of Blake Lively, I think the cast, being the type of person that is in a ultra competitive environment, would be more inclined to try to hitch their wagon to the winning side. Whoops. That might have been a big mistake. So anyhow, there's your update. Director doubles down. I've got another. I mean, there is a lot. I mean this. There's a lot of tic-tacky little things going on here. My next video will be the Rush Hour podcast, where we will discuss, amongst other entertainment news, this idea that Blake Lively was poisoning the Gossip Girl set. Now, not physically, but metaphysically, as a way to get them to not like Penn Badgley. Why the hell would this happen? All of that story coming for you next.